everyone. Morning. Morning. Sorry, I had to, a bit croaky, aren't I? Sorry, I had to close the coffee queue. It's just that we've got a lot to go through and we're already a minute late starting. So, I'm going to start. My details are up on the screen there. I'm the University Curriculum Principal in Engineering, and I'm going to talk to you about academic AI. That is not currently trademarked, so if any of you want to trademark that, then be my guest, just cut me in on the royalties, okay? Adam, that's your cue to laugh. Okay, first of all, I want to open with this. Okay, so just because you use ChatGPT doesn't mean you're an AI expert. Just like eating popcorn doesn't make you a chef. So that's my disclaimer for today. I'm not an AI expert. I don't write AI tools. So I am the popcorn chef of AI. I'm just here to pass on what I've learned in the classroom to the rest of the team. So it's a series of unfortunate events for you who like literature. Lemony Snicket books, they were my favourite books growing up. Why is it unfortunate? Because you got to spend 20 minutes listening to me, unfortunately. Thanks. Okay, so by the end of today's session, you will all love AI. Everyone will be using AI by the end of the day. But how do we get there? Well, first of all, we need to know how AI can be useful to us and also how we can outsmart it. To get there, we need to know how to detect the use of AI. To get there, we need to know, is the use of AI in the classroom actually acceptable? To get there, some of us might need to know what AI actually is. So that's what we're going to go through in the next 20 minutes. So we've got a lot to go through. So first of all, what is AI? Okay, so the Oxford Languages definition, which is the definition that Google uses when you do a Google search to define this, says the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence. So those of you who prefer Scrabble and Countdown, the Oxford English Dictionary version says it is the capacity of computers or machines to exhibit or simulate intelligent behaviour. So there's lots and lots of definitions out there. Some of them say that to be classed as AI, it's got to be self-learning. Some of them don't say it has to be self-learning. So I picked these two because some of the tools we're going to look at today are not self-learning, but they certainly fit into this definition. So there are plenty of, generation Netflix, too keen. There are plenty of tools. There's just some of the ones you may or may not have heard of. There's absolutely hundreds and hundreds out there. Every week, loads of new AI tools come onto the market. So for those of you who haven't seen any of them at all, then I'll just do a quick demonstration of a couple of the AI tools. Apologies, it'll only take a couple of minutes to those of you who are already using it, but we're just establishing that baseline here. So the first one I want to show you is actually built into Microsoft Edge now. So if you're using Microsoft Edge as your web browser on your personal device, your college device, if it's been updated in the last couple of months, you might have noticed this little Bing logo that's appeared in the top right-hand side. When you click that logo up there for the first time, or it pops up and tells you to click it, it will ask you to sign in with a Microsoft account. Now, I've already done that. You can use your Burley College Microsoft account, or you can use your own Microsoft account, and it takes you to this page here, where we've got Chat, Compose, and Insights. And Insights is about the web page that you're looking at, and it's all sorts of other things. The first thing I'm just going to briefly show you is this Compose section. So this Compose section allows you, or allows your learners, to literally copy across a task from an assignment brief. Here's one I prepared earlier that my level 5s will be doing. We can copy that across and see how it stays on whichever tab I'm open. My AI panel stays there for me. We can copy that across, and I'm going to add at the bottom of it, adding at least 2 Harvard references. So I'm going to say I want a professional tone, I want a paragraph, I want a long answer, and I hit generate draft. And that's going to take around about 20 seconds to generate roughly a page at size 12 font response to my question here. It will start generating, hopefully the internet in this room heats up, if not get off Snapchat and TikTok everyone. It should start generating at the bottom here any second now, but it is taking its time on that one. So there we go, it's just started. So around about 20 seconds time it will have finished. It's been a bit slow this morning. We know it's finished because this generate draft button will go blue again. And what I'll do is I'll quickly copy and paste that into a blank Word document just so I can blow it up and show you what it can do. And we're not going to psychoanalyze it, but every time I've done this, with all different questions from all different level 4, 5 and 6 assignments, there was only one question where the AI wouldn't have achieved a pass, and it misinterpreted the question. So I've done it dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and it's achieving at least 40% on every question it attempts. So it is a powerful software. Sometimes it's scoring 70, 80% against my mark scheme. And what I would say is I haven't even copied the mark scheme or the assessment criteria into that top box. You can see that I've got 2,000 characters up here. I can copy in the assessment criteria, the mark scheme or similar, and it will get an even better response. But for the purpose of a quick demonstration, I haven't bothered to do that today. So if I just paste that now into the Word document and make it slightly bigger, we can see that it's done a pretty decent answer to my question. And again, from a real quick skim read there, I did this last night, it generated a very similar response last night, this would achieve at least a pass. Now, I know it's pulled up Wikipedia 2023, and that's actually the first time in me doing this that I've seen a really uncredible source. If I was more specific in my generation, my question generation, those 2,000 characters, I could say that I only want textbooks and academic journals, etc. But for the ease of just this quick demonstration, I haven't done that. But you can see it's fully Harvard referenced it properly, and it's even created my bibliography down here. And we can tell it to use only credible sources, sources from a certain date, sources from a certain part of the academic world. So that is a quick way, within 20 seconds, that your learners could generate an answer to something that might have taken them at least 2 hours to do previously. So it's an incredibly powerful tool, and it's now built into your Edge web browser. You don't even need to go to a special website to do it. I want to show you another part it can do, because that's obviously for written assignments. If we come across to the chat function and we ask it to be really creative, we can ask it to generate an image. So if I put generate, spell it right, generate an image of a Labrador walking on the moon in a field of sunflowers, let's go with. And we hit go on that. Again, give it around about 20 seconds and it will interpret that. It will go to a separate website. It will generate 4 of those images, and I can pick and download my favourite image. It will also give me suggestions for improvements, so I can ask it to refine the image, etc., etc. I won't do it in the interest of time, but every time I've done this in practice, I've downloaded that image of that. Labrador walking on the moon through a bed of sunflowers. How cute is that? So that's going to be my Christmas card next year. So when you all get that as a Christmas card from me next year, you know I didn't take my Labrador to the moon, and I just used AI to generate the image. So we can see down here, it will ask us, well it hasn't actually this time, but normally down here a couple of options will say, make the Labrador bigger, make the moon bigger, make the flowers bigger, whatever. It will give you different suggestions. What we can do, but in the interest of time I won't for today, is I can download that and I can do a reverse image Google search on that. For those of you who know what a reverse Google image search is, Google will then search the internet for that image. And once again, every time I've tested that, it hasn't come up with that image. So it's not just been really smart and found that image on the internet and pulled that image out and given that image to me. It's actually generated that image using AI. And we can do all sorts. Last night when I was just doing a run through of this, I got it to generate an image of a university student trying on a barber jacket in a fast food restaurant, and it got that perfectly. And you can see that it's generating it through AI, because when you do it more and more, you'll see it's sometimes not perfect. Sometimes it does get it slightly wrong. In this image, for example, those sunflowers don't look particularly real, but it's doing a pretty good attempt. We've also got ChatGPT. That's probably the one you've heard of, you've heard your students using. This is currently ChatGPT 3.5. You can upgrade, pay £17 a month, and you can get 4.0. And 4.0 is even more powerful than 3.5. 3.5 would allow me to put in my assignment brief, put in my assessment criteria, put in my marking scheme, my Harvard referencing, how many references I need to use, only use references from a credible source, and it will generate a very strong assignment answer on that assignment brief or coursework or homework or whatever the task it is you're doing. It will generate a very powerful response. It will also generate a lesson plan or a scheme of work for you as learners. Obviously, we won't be using that in our lessons. But when you get that writer's block and you go, I don't even know where to start with this lesson, you can pop the subject of the lesson in here and it will give you a recommended structure which you can then build upon. So it's incredibly powerful tools, and remember that's only today. The technology is rapidly, exponentially growing from where it was only 6 months ago. So in 12 months' time, if I do the same learning breakfast, I'll be telling you different things. It will move on, it will continue to move on. So it sounds a bit scary. It sounds a little bit like it's taking over the world and our jobs are at threat and we're not going to be able to assess our learners correctly. But let's think back to the 1960s, 1970s, when the calculator first came out. And all the maths and science teachers would have been like, the calculator's the end of education, it's ruining everything. And then let's fast forward another 30 years to the early 2000s, late 2000s, when the internet was starting to come into people's homes and started to come into schools and colleges. And the academics back then would have been, a lot of them would have been saying a similar thing. The internet is ruining education. Get down to the library, you, kind of thing. And we've learned to grow, we've learned to change the way we assess, we've learned to accept it, incorporate it into our lessons, and move on. And AI is just the next step in that evolution. It's not something we can avoid, it's something we're going to have to learn to get used to, learn to pick up on, and learn to incorporate into our lessons to develop that learning experience. So, can we use it in the classroom? Well, conveniently, you don't have to take Rob English's word for it. The Joint Council for Qualifications has published this document, AI Use of Assessments Protecting the Integrity of Qualifications. I know that on the day it was published, Adam sat and read it cover to cover. Yep. If you would like to have some nighttime reading this evening, feel free, it's on the Joint Council for Qualifications website. However, I've done the hard work for you and I've pulled some key summaries out of it. So one of the key summaries, if we just read the bold bit, if any sections of their work are reproduced directly from AI-generated responses, this will not allow them to demonstrate that they have independently met the marking criteria. So it's very clear that even if they're copying it and rewording it from ChatGPT or Bing Chat or whatever they're using, they have not met the marking criteria. It goes on to say, where teachers have doubts about the authenticity of students' work, they must investigate it and take appropriate action. So we are now bound, when we suspect it, to investigate and take appropriate action. It continues to say that teachers and assessors must only accept work for assessment which they consider to be the student's own. That's a given, we've always known that, but it's reaffirmed in this policy when it's specifically referring to AI and the use of AI in the classroom. So we mustn't accept it as students' own work and pass it off as meeting the assessment criteria for coursework, assignments, exams we mark in-house, etc. So what can we do to protect ourselves from AI? Well, here are two tools that we can use to assess whether a piece of work has been used, as AI has been used, and it's been directly copied and pasted from AI. So Turnitin recently updated their software platform, and I'll just briefly show you that in a second, how that picks up AI. And so has GPT-0. There's lots of other websites of a similar name that are available. So if you don't have a Turnitin account, you're not frequently using Turnitin in your role, doesn't mean you can't have access to a piece of software that tries to pick up on the use of AI. And the key is in the word try, and I'll come on to that in a second. So let's just exit out for a second and come back to the web browser. So Turnitin can be slightly dodgy, so let's hope the server stays up for this session. So here's my Turnitin. For the purposes of this, I've created a dummy classroom where I've submitted a piece of work myself to my own assignment brief, and I used 100% AI. You can see that it only picked up a 14% similarity. So it's not in the similarity that it's picked it up. So if I go into my example assignment, at the bottom right, it's very small because of the resolution we're using, but it'll be a bit bigger on your screen. This here says 100%, AI 100%. So Turnitin thinks that 100% of this submission was AI generated. If I click onto that, it will take me into a report, and you can see there 100% suspect plagiarism of AI. So Turnitin's picked up that this was submitted through AI. Now if I just take this top couple of paragraphs, and I put it into that other website I told you about, GPT-0, I can run the same thing. You might have to, again, you might have to sign up for, you might have to sign in and accept some terms and conditions and stuff, and I can hit get results. Now, something's changed on this website this week, because up until this week, every time I hit get results, it was picking it up as AI. Now this time, it's picking up as human, and when we come down, it gives you some stats. You can understand how it's trying to pick up whether that's AI or not. But that brings me perfectly on to the next half of this presentation. This is a game of cops and robbers. So just like with the normal police out there, the criminals are always one step ahead of the police, coming up with new ways to break the law, and the police have to come up with new technologies and new methods to capture that and catch them. AI will be exactly the same. It will always be that journey. The AI tools will always be getting smarter, and then the tools to catch the AI will have to catch up. So it's constantly a losing battle. So we can't rely on tools simply to capture ad, because we also have tools such as Quillbot. All of these websites will be on the PowerPoint that we upload to Learning Breakfast, the Learning Breakfast website after today, so you don't need to remember them all. This is just a free version of Quillbot. I'm not paying for Quillbot here, and I can ask, if I was to move to the paid version, I could massively change the synonyms, the complexity. I can shorten and expand, make it more creative, make it more simple, rephrase it. Now, in my testing before today's session, and back when GPT-0 was working properly, it's just not been working properly for the last 48 hours, it picked up that this was AI generated 0% of times. I put loads of different AI generated responses in on the left hand side, took the response that came out on the right hand side, put it into GPT-0, and it never once picked it up. So the AI tools are still smarter than the detection tools. It's the game of cat and mouse and cops and robbers. So what that means, if we just flick back to the PowerPoint presentation for a second, that due to tools like Quillbot, we cannot independently rely on ChatGPT and turn it in to pick up these errors and to protect ourselves from AI plagiarism. So point number 293 of the Education Inspection Framework says that we should be contributing effectively to meeting the skills needs of employers. So if we use AI correctly in the classroom, we demonstrate the commitment to meeting the future skills needs. These learners are going to be using AI in their jobs, in marketing, in producing of content, media, all these jobs, they're going to be using it. It also greatly enhances the learning experience. They enjoy using AI. By understanding as academic teams and support teams how AI works, we can tailor our assessments, our homework, our classwork, our coursework to account for AI. So this will enable us to make AI an embedded part of our classroom. So how do we do that? Well, here's a couple of tips, and these are just my tips. So on the left-hand side is a piece of work that would be highly susceptible to AI plagiarism in red. Well, how can we change it in green to make it less susceptible? So for example, if your coursework or assignment asks them to write a body of text answering a question, you could make them do the draft or the plan in the class with pen and paper, and their final submission must follow that draft. That's a very rudimentary way, it's not the best. As we move forward, they get better. Sticking with the same theme, writing a body of text, if you could actually say, instead of write a body of text, critically analyse an AI-generated version of the text against the assessment criteria and learning outcomes. I'll come on to that in a second. I actually did that as an in-class activity. Or we could, sticking with the same theme, writing a body of text, we could say, critically analyse a non-publicly available, non-text exclusive source. So what I mean by that is don't ask them to critically analyse the accounts for Jaguar Land Rover, because there's too much publicly available information. But if you could produce a PDF that's got pictures and graphs and diagrams and text on it, that's too complicated as it currently stands for AI to understand. So that would be avoiding AI plagiarism. Sticking with the same theme, and we're going to move on to maths and science and creative in a second, sticking with writing a body of text, you can actually say demonstrate a practical demonstration or professional discussion or have a personal reflection on the task. If you're more creative, you can get them to generate an AI tool, an AI logo, radio jingle, album artwork, and you can get them to critically analyse the AI generated version rather than just creation. Maths and science, Move away from simple questions and embed the numbers they need into a context, because the AI cannot understand that yet. Or, one I've tried as well, find a deliberate mistake. So they can put that maths question into an AI and give them a perfect solution. You write out an imperfect solution and get them to find mistakes amongst them. If your solution is written different to the AI solution, it makes it even harder as well. But what's the running theme here? The running theme here is we need to get away from the creation of content. AI can create CAD drawings, AI can create videos, AI can create jingles and adverts and blog posts and assignment brief answers. AI can create the content. We need to move away from the pure creation of content and move towards the critically analysed, getting creative. So we're staying one step ahead of the AI tools. So just to finish, I apologise, I've gone 1 minute over. Here's an example I used in my classroom. So this is a practice test for an in-class test. And I got the learners to do it properly, and I marked it and gave them feedback. The next session, before the exam, I gave them ChatGPT answers. And I asked them to critically analyse where ChatGPT was against the mark scheme. So they were looking at where ChatGPT didn't achieve the higher marks and why, and we had a big class discussion around it. They loved it because they were getting to use ChatGPT officially in the lesson. This was level 5 H&D learners. So finishing 2 minutes late, so apologies. Anyone got any questions?
Rob, it's just looking back to what you were saying about detection methods.
Yeah.
So obviously you said technology is evolving. Looking at ChatGPT 5 coming out early next year with sort of the same processing power as the human brain, which really sort of throws into the air whether we can trust vocational. Do you think there's a fear that vocational will disappear as a result?
No, I don't personal opinion. I'm only the popcorn chef of AI. I think that if we move our assessment methods more towards the experiential learning, the demonstration of, the reflection of, then there's still a requirement for the learner to carry out that task. And we're more looking at assessing how they carried out that task, what they learned from it in their reflection, rather than purely the 1950s, write 5,000 words on X. And ChatGPT and all these tools are forcing us to move away from that. But I don't think that even as it keeps developing, we can stay one step ahead by being more creative. The detection tools aren't the way to stay ahead. It's the way we are creative with our coursework, our assessments, our homeworks. That's the way to stay ahead, in my personal opinion.
Just with questions, people are going to get into lessons. I think we need to do more on this. So there's definitely going to be more to learn. We need to look at it from a college stance as well. So there's definitely going to be more to come on this. So if anyone doesn't have to go to a lesson, so
Yeah.
Thank you.